Doesn't matter what darkness is about. The truth is that light will always overcome the darkness. God said it and it's true. Come on, if God said it, then it's true. It's the truth today and it will always be the truth. God said it and it's true. You see, the place where light needs to shine is the dark places. Jesus came and shone in the darkness and he messed up all the darkness was about. He came into the dark places of people's lives. He came into the dark places where people were in despair. He came into the dark places where literally society had shunned people and put them down. And he brought this light there. In fact, he came and he brought light even to those who had wealth and maybe had position and maybe had power, and yet in their soul there was darkness. He brought light into those places. It didn't matter who they were or what their position was in society or what they were facing. Jesus brought light into all of those places. You see, but now I want you to read with me Matthew chapter 5 and verse 16. You see, Matthew chapter 4 talks about how Jesus is this light. But I want you to read with me what the next chapter says about Jesus and this light and what he says about it. Matthew chapter 5 verse 14. Jesus is speaking. How do we know it's Jesus? It's in red. That's right. You guys are so intelligent tonight. I knew it. Matthew chapter 5 verse 14, Jesus says, you are the light of the world. Hang on a minute, Jesus, isn't that your job? Jesus here says, no, you are the light of the world. He goes on and says, a city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. But Jesus, I thought that was your job. And he says, yes, it is my job. But he says it's also yours. And you might be looking at your life and thinking, yeah, but I don't know whether I can live like that. I kind of get consumed sometimes with things that aren't right. I don't know if I can really live. That's your job, Jesus. I'm just here just enjoying everything, but you're the light. And he says, no, you're the light and you can live it out when you allow me inside of you. My light starts to shine out of your life, and the closer you get to me, the more brightly you start to shine. You see, Jesus wants to shine his light through you to bring change to some dark places in our world. You got to make a decision though. How am I going to live that out? You see, the question then is, where do you shine this light? I mean, do we just come to church and have a nice little time shining our lights and singing nice little songs like this little light of mine? I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it. Oh, very beautiful. Give yourselves a round of applause. Fantastic. But is he just saying, well, yeah, you need to go to church and shine your light in there because that's where the light shines. That's the space, that's the place for the light to be. That's kind of where you should shine it. Well, as I think about this, I think about the fact that light is not really necessary where light already exists. Did you hear what I said then? Light is not always really very necessary in places where light already exists. It's good to come into the house of God, and we need to do that, and we need to be in church, and we need to gather together. But there is a world that is full of darkness, and that is the place where we need some people, come on, who are going to start to shine some light, not where there is light, but where there's darkness. It's time to see a generation of light start to rise up and start to shine in some dark places. Not to hide it, not to cover it up, not to have a nice little lighting ceremony amongst all the others who have the light and look at the different shades of light and compare how that's a beautiful light. No, I like your light. Oh, look what we can do. We can turn the lights on. Isn't this glorious? No, it's not about that. It's not about hiding it. It's not about covering it up. It's not about having a nice little religious moment, but it is about shining forth the light into the hearts and minds of people who are in darkness. I want to read to you a letter that I received only about a month ago. And when I received it and I read it, I literally have kept it on my desk from the moment I received it, because I really didn't quite know what to do with it. It absolutely stirred me and reminded me of really what we're all about. And this is a letter from a young lady who I understand was at one of our United worship nights that we had in America about a month or so ago. She writes, Pastor Phil, hello. She says, thank you for coming to Los Angeles in August. I was there in the overflow room. Thanks for playing a song in the overflow room. It was nice to actually see you all. The whole evening was a blessing and an encouragement to me, as well as confirming of God's unfailing love. It was a powerful evening. Thanks for the message. She goes on and says, I really believe in what you're talking about, and I'm so hungry for God. I want to really know Him. Says, Pastor Phil, that night in Los Angeles, I felt a warmth in me that I couldn't explain when I lifted my hands during worship. I felt like my hands were on fire. I know it's God's presence with me, and I want to share with you something that I don't often speak about. Even though I know Christ lives in me, I struggle with dark thoughts. I feel suicidal, like I think I'm being attacked with thoughts in my head. You see, my mom took her own life a few years ago. And I feel like my mom's death was kind of my fault because I told her what my uncle had been doing to me and the pain that it had caused. I would have kept quiet if I knew all the pain that was ahead. I just did not want to go through that anymore. Because I spoke up, I don't see some members of my family. And I feel kind of on my own, and I miss my mum. I wish there were friends who'd been in my mum's life who could have shared Christ with her. That's why I have a lot of compassion for people who are hurting and don't know Christ. I want to cry with them and tell them about Jesus. I want them to be saved. I want them to be able to experience God's healing, and I want to bring it to other people. I want what the enemy had intended to be for evil to be used instead for the glory of God. I want the fatherless to know that they have a father. I desire to see people set free, and God is doing this in my life. And when United came, it was part of fanning that flame. I want the lost to know they're being looked for and found by a God who died for them so long ago. A God who is living and active. I want to be part of the righteous here on the earth. I want to pray God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I want to stand united with other Christians. I'm hungry for God. Been trying to memorize scriptures, and I've been memorizing Psalm 34. My favorite part says, I cried out to the Lord, and in my suffering He heard me and He set me free of all my fears. I guess it's easy to write because, you're far away and all the rest of it. She says, I'm just a normal girl who likes to smile, likes to dance, likes to jump around and make friends. Most of all, love Jesus with all my heart. I'm hungry for God. And then she goes on and says, I'm sending you an offering for more tours and outreaches that will bring Christ to a world that desperately needs Him. Like I need Him, I want to stand